Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, wherever you are, whoever you are, welcome. Welcome to the Scratching Post. This is a podcast where we're here to talk everything about the Regina Cougars. It's just a meeting place to just meet up, hang out with lovely people, lovely folks, and just talk about the Cougars, what they're doing on the field of play and also off the field of play. So if you're interested in learning about our student athletes here at the University of Regina, this is the podcast for you. I am your host, Arthur Ward, Cougar track and field alumni. I just got to give a shout out to that. I was a Cougar for many years, and I just love it. I just love what the program is all about. I just love Regina. And I'm going to say it again. I'm repeating myself. But I love the Regina Cougars. This is my only team that I've been able and had the privilege to compete for. And I just want to see not just the track and field team, but I want to see all our teams here at the University of Regina succeed and move on to bigger, greater things. So hopefully this podcast can really sort of enlighten our listeners and just sort of make them more aware about our programs here at the University of Regina and help you guys form some connections with our athletes through a little bit of storytelling. So that's what the Scratching Post is all about. And now that I've said that, I want to introduce you to our first ever guest on this podcast. And we're going big. We're going big because not only is our first guest an athlete with one of our teams here, our first guest is also an Olympian. I present to you Ovesh Purahoo, Olympic athlete. Ovesh, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Arthur. Thank you for having me.
It's so great to have you here. After, a hell of a summer you had. Like, you went to Paris, you competed in the Olympic Games. Like, first of all, I'm getting ahead of myself here, Ovesh. Your fourth year with the Regina Cougars swimming team. Tell us a little bit about that. Actually, tell us where you're from and what brought you here to the city, this lovely city of Regina.
So I'm a student on the swimming team. I'm from Mauritius. It's an island in the Indian Ocean. And I joined the Cougars actually the year of COVID. So we didn't have a season. It was all online. So I was doing my school online, and then I was able to join the Cougars in 2021. And I started swimming with the team in 2021, fall 2021.
Okay, for people who've maybe have never heard of Mauritius, that's a country? Is that an island country, Mauritius?
It's an island. It's a very tiny island. So best description, I would say picture Hawaii. Okay. But it's way, way nicer.
Way nicer than Hawaii. You heard it here from the man himself. Mauritius. Describe it for us, like better than Hawaii. So I'm assuming white sand beaches, blue crystal clear water. Like, what's the population like? How many people living here on this island?
It's around 1 million people.
Okay.
So quite a lot for a small island. But the best thing I would say, apart from the blue sky, blue water, is the food.
The food.
Exactly, yeah.
Tell us about the food now that you mention it. What are we missing out?
So it's lots of culture. So we have people from basically all around the world. So Africa, Asia, Europe. They all bring their food, and it's just like a mixture of flavor of different kind of food. So it's just like explosion of flavor.
An explosion of flavors. Okay. Yeah. Ovesh, what's your favorite food?
That's a very difficult question for me.
You love all the food.
More what with Asian food.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. So what's your dish? What are you missing here in Regina that you were wishing that you were back in Mauritius to have?
It's called farata.
Farata.
It's
Describe
a sort
it.
of naan with like curry inside.
Okay.
That's what I miss the most.
Is it rolled up? Like when you say curry inside, is it rolled up like a burrito, or is it just like the naan and you just put the curry on top of it?
It's freestyle. You go like however you want. So you can dip it, you can roll it, you can do whatever you want.
Okay. Have you ever had farata here in Regina? Have you or anyone ever made farata here in Regina?
I've had it in Indian restaurant,
Okay.
but it's different. It's a little different.
It's not the same.
No, it's not.
Okay. Did you let them know at the Indian
No.
restaurant? Okay. All right. You can help us out by making farata here better here in Regina.
I can try, but I'm not really good cook.
Because then you can go back to Mauritius and say, hey, the farata in Regina is really good. You should move to Regina. I think that's to get more Olympians to Regina. I think that'll be a good strategy. Love it. I love it. So you came from Mauritius to Regina. How did you discover Regina?
Actually, I didn't know about Regina. It was the first time I learned about Regina was through a student like agency where they were like putting universities in Canada so like student could learn about that about the university that was in Canada, the program. And the kinesiology program was very interesting to me. And doing some research online, they got a pretty nice Instagram page, and they do a pretty good job at like portraying or displaying what they do here. So that was, I would say, I based myself on that to join here, and they had and have like a really great swimming program. So it was a win-win for me.
Whoa! Shout out to the University of Regina kinesiology program for having a killer Instagram page. It got Ovesh right here to Regina. So yeah, you're talking about the faculty's Instagram?
Yes, I think it was You're All Connected.
You're All Connected.
Like
Yeah. That's their Instagram. Yeah. So that's what you saw, and you had an interest in kinesiology, and you saw how they marketed the program, and that was sort of a box checked for you.
Yeah, because you're far away, you don't really know what's going on here. So having those posts, those information that's on social media, so it makes you learn more about the program first, and then it gives you an expectation what to expect coming here. So it's really helpful for especially international students.
So you want to study kinesiology, but outside the classroom, you're an active swimmer. When did you get started in swimming competitively?
I started swimming when I was 4, but it was just for fun. I started really training seriously, I believe, when I was 13, 14 years old. That was when I first started to like attend more practices and like train with like a team that was competing nationally. So yeah, around that age.
So I have to ask. I'm from an island in the Caribbean, a tiny island, and there's sort of a thing with islanders. If you grew up on an island, I guess this is what everybody back home we sort of say is we're not really interested in the beach. We learn to swim as more of a survival mechanism because if we fall off the sea rocks, we can at least swim back to shore. But we're not going to the beach every day, hopping in the water and going swimming. So I grew up just assuming that every islander in the world, they have the ocean right there. They're not too worried about getting in the ocean. But here you are, started swimming since you were 4 years old, from an island country. Is swimming popular in Mauritius? Are there a lot of swimming clubs and teams in Mauritius?
Not at all.
Not at all?
No.
So were you one of the few that really love swimming that much?
I wouldn't say love swimming because it's a boring sport. It really is. And swimming at the beach, in the sea, it's not the same. It's not structured. It's very hard to swim in the sea and try to compare it to the swimming we do in the pool. So it's like in Regina we have snow, but not everyone is good at ski. So it's similar.
That's a good analogy. I like that. Yeah, we got a lot of snow here, but you can't put everybody in a ski. Yeah, I like that. Awesome. So you came from Mauritius to Regina to study kinesiology and also be a part of the swimming team here. And fast forward, you're in Paris competing at the Olympics. When did you know that you were going to be representing your country of Mauritius at the 2024 Paris Olympics?
So officially end of June. So the Olympics was end of July. So I knew officially that I was qualified and going. So 1 month prior to the games. But I had the goal in mind, so I kind of knew the criteria that they're going to base the selection. So we were working on that with the coaches from, I would say, 2 years ago, the previous coach, Craig Newstead. So he stepped aside from swimming. So Bailey Monroe, the new coach, came in. But the project remained the same. The goal was to make the national team for Paris.
So if I understand you correctly, when you moved to Regina, you already had that goal in mind of competing at the next Olympics.
It was in the back of my head, but it was still it was, I think, 3 years to the Paris Games. So it was a long time. But yeah, for sure, it was in the back of my head.
So you qualified, you made the national team to represent Mauritius at the Paris Olympics. Did you participate in the opening ceremony?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so tell us about that, because a lot of us watch the opening ceremony on TV from home. Very few of us got to attend the opening ceremony, and even fewer got to participate and be on the boat floating on the Seine. What was that like?
So it was pretty interesting because we had our own boat. So we were a small delegation of like 13 athletes. So I was expecting to share a boat with like another country, but we had our own little boat. So down the boat there was like a little like fancy area. We had some snacks and stuff. But regarding the ceremony, we didn't get to watch. Because we were in the boat, we was like waiting for the signal to get out the boat and just like wave at everyone.
Oh.
So I still haven't gone through the replay to watch the opening ceremony.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
So you were underneath the deck of the boat just waiting to come up?
Yeah, because it was raining on that day.
Oh, yes. Okay. Well, yeah, we gotta find the footage so that you can see yourself on TV. So you did the opening ceremony. How long were you in Paris for?
I was here for the whole thing. So we had a week and a half of training camp in, I think, south of Paris. Moving to the village around 26th, 27th of July and stayed until the closing ceremony. So that was like 3 weeks.
Now, you really got a unique experience with the Olympics because from what I've gathered, with bigger delegations, they don't send the entire team to stay for the entire duration of the Olympics. And I think that's a limitation because for those of you watching, the athletes' village at the Olympics only has so many rooms, and that's usually less than the amount of athletes competing in the Olympics. So they stagger the amount of athletes coming in. So what delegations or teams would do, they will send a portion of their athletes early to the opening ceremony, and then they'll go and compete in their different sports. And when they're done competing, they'll fly back home. And then the next teams on a schedule will come in, move into the athletes' village if they're staying there, et cetera, et cetera. It's very rare that you'll have, the same athletes who were fortunate to go to the opening ceremony return for the closing ceremony. That's 3 weeks in Paris. Yeah. You, my friend, gotta experience it all. Like, that is, were you aware of that? Were you aware that you were getting a really truly special experience being at the Olympics for that long?
I actually realized it when it was over, because when I was in the thing, I just took it for granted, and then after the games, I was like, "Oh, that was pretty special."
Yeah. So what was the village like? Like, did you see any other? Do you make friends with any other athletes? Like any notable athletes? Did you get to interact with them? Like, tell us. Like, what was the experience like?
So most famous athletes I've seen get close to was Simone Biles. She was having supper on the table in front of us. That's one. I got the chance to talk to Andy Murray, the tennis guy.
Oh, you got to talk to him. So what did you ask him? What did you ask Andy?
He actually came to me. He wanted the Mauritius pin. So we're a small island, so small delegation. Our pins was like very unique, and it was pretty rare. I thought it was selling for 200 euros on eBay. And he approached me and my friend. He wanted to trade pin, so we traded pin. And I got to take a picture with him. So that was pretty cool.
For those of you who may not know what the pins are, at the Olympic Games, and I say this, I've had the experience where I participate in the Commonwealth Games, and they also do the trading of pins. And it's everybody gets a set of pins. That's usually, it could be anything as simple as the flag of your country to like very intricate designs. And when you're at the games village or at the competition venues, you can approach somebody else who has a pin that you would like to add to your collection and either do a straight up trade of your pin for their pin, or usually if it's smaller countries who don't have a lot of pins, they ask a lot to get that one pin. So, for example, I've seen people trade their entire podium uniform for one pin, for a Sierra Leone pin.
Oh, wow.
You know, it's when you're a smaller country, you have a lot of bargaining power. Yeah. So back to the conversation now. What did you trade Andy Murray for your pin?
I just traded my pin. I didn't know I could do that. I would.
Well, you got a picture out of it at least, yeah, of you with Andy Murray. So what was Andy Murray like? What was, was he fierce? Was he just an easygoing person? Like,
no, I think he announced his retirement like to pro tennis a week before the games. So I feel like he was just enjoying the moment, like trying to enjoy the whole Olympic experience. He was Olympic champion, I think, in London. And I think that this games for him was just his farewell, trying to get the most out of it. So usually you wouldn't see like high-level athletes like that just wandering in the village. They usually like in the room, or sometimes they will stay like out of the village because we got lots of distraction, lots of stuff happening in the village. So I was pretty surprised to see Andy Murray, especially on the first day.
He really wanted that Mauritius pin. That's why he stayed in the Olympic Village. Awesome. Well, I want to get to your race. So the first race at the Olympics, the 100-meter freestyle.
Yes.
You had a pretty good result, I'm assuming?
Yeah, it was pretty good.
So tell us about that first race. What happened in that first race?
Personal best. I won my heat.
You won your heat.
Yeah.
You showed up to the Olympic Games, and in your first event, you're on the TV because you're the first person to touch the other side of the pool.
Yeah.
Describe that. What was that moment like?
That's a really good question. It was special, but on the spot, it was hard because I was so into the race. I don't remember much, But I remember, I think before I jump in, when we were walking in, I just take a peek at the crowd. It was awesome. Like you were like looking up, and there was still more people up. So lots of people for sure. But then I had to get back into my bubble, and it's hard to feel and perform at the same time. It's something I'm trying to learn.
Explain that. What did you say? It's hard to feel and perform at the same time. What about that are you trying to learn?
It's easy for me to block all the noises, all the distraction around, but I feel there's more to that, to competing with the crowd, using the crowd energy, to have that little extra boost. So it's something I'm trying to learn with my mental coach, trying to feed from the crowd, feed that energy, use that into the race, and try to make the most out of it.
Did you feel on that day when you walked in for the first time, looking back on that, do you think you got some sort of a boost from seeing that much people at the event?
I would say in my race, usually it's like a 400-meter in track, so you die in the last 50.
Yeah.
Some people it's like the last 100.
Yeah.
So you tend to like apprehend that, like you wait for it to come. But on that day, it just didn't happen. I was done the race. I was like so full of energy. I was like, God damn, I could have pushed it a little bit more on that first 50. So yeah,
So you felt like you held back. You didn't empty the tank fully in that first race.
Yeah, because I saw the whole race PB, but I felt there was like much more in the tank. I wish I could go out faster and just like try to hold on, and because I feel like that pool you don't get tired.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some might disagree with me, but that's what it felt like for me on that 100.
Well, there's a picture. So when you won your heat on the Regina Cougars website, a quick plug, reginacougars.com, if you want to get all your Regina Cougars news. There you go. If you click on the swimming tab, we got a picture of you, and it seems to me like you're just sort of looking up at the big screen like, what just happened? You kind of got your hands up a little bit, and you're just kind of looking up. It looks like you were kind of in shock. Am I mistaken by that?
I wouldn't say it's a shock. It's just
First of all, have you seen the picture that I'm referring to?
yeah. I think I saw it.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
So I think it was like a FIFA celebration. We're like, oops. So it was more than that, than shock.
Okay, so you were well aware of what was happening at that point.
Yeah, I think.
Awesome. Well, Ovesh, that's so interesting to hear from you on, your first time on such a big stage, seeing that many people, in understanding that that's something that you have to tap into. It's it's a good example of being in such a huge moment and using it as motivation, using it as fuel, but also using it as a learning experience, right? Like knowing that if you want to be the best at the sport that you're competing in, you have to not only be technically sound, physically fit, but also mentally capable to really use your surroundings to really give you that boost that you mentioned. So, it's good to hear you speak about that. It's good to know that you're working on that. And I have to ask, what's now you're an Olympian, and you've won a race at the Olympics. Not many people can say that. I can only assume what the next step is, but I'll just give you the opportunity and ask you the question. What's next for Ovesh Purahoo?
So we'll take it step by step. First one is the Commonwealth Game in 2026. That would be the first step, and then hopefully 2028 LA. But keeping in mind, I also put my studies first because swimming doesn't pay the bill, unfortunately.
Like a lot of like a lot of sports,
Yeah.
outside of, well, I should say, like a lot of sports, I will say that, like a
Yeah.
lot of sports, they don't put food on the table. So okay, no, but so focusing on your studies. Quickly, I'm just going to jump there. What are you looking to achieve in your studies?
So I'm finishing my degree, kin degree in the spring, and then the next step I'm very interested into chiropractic. So I feel that would be the correct path for me to choose and have a career in that field.
Awesome. Yeah, you've got it. Sounds like you've got it figured out, Ovesh. So wish you all the best for Commonwealth in 2026. Where is it going to be in 2026?
I'm not sure because I think they're still figuring out like who's gonna be the host. But I think Europe, probably Ireland, if I'm not mistaken.
You're not concerned about the location. You're just concerned about the results, right?
Exactly.
There you go. There you go. Ovesh Purahoo, Olympian. Do you get to put the 3 letters at the end of your at the end of your name now?
Yeah, I applied for it and I got the certificate.
Oh,
so yeah, I get to use it.
Okay, all right. Well, in the edit here, producer EJ is gonna add the 3 letters to the end of your name there, so we make sure that we get that officially correct. Ovesh Purahoo, pardon me, Olympian, Cougar swimming athlete. Before we take it away here, though, I just want to. Need you to explain a picture for me. Producer EJ, can you cue that picture up and put it on the screen here? And while we wait for producer EJ to do that, we just did a media day. And it's where we get all the athletes to come in and get their headshots. And while we're getting the photos of Ovesh, he's like, "Hey, do you have some extra time? Can I bring my dogs in?" And I was like, "Sure, okay." And behold, the door opens, and here you with your 2 dogs. So, Ovesh, why don't you introduce your dogs to us? Tell us their names. Tell us what they are. I think that one's a Shih Tzu. I would let you take it from here, Ovesh.
Okay, so that's Bear.
Bear?
Bear. He's a Yorkie.
A Yorkie.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then this one, pretty cool story. This is Paris. We got her 1 week before I leave for Paris. So that was a deal with my girlfriend. I was like, if I make the Olympic team, we'll get another dog and we'll name it Paris. So,
wow, this is so. Is this going to be a thing? Let's say you qualify for LA Olympics. Are you going to get another dog and maybe name that dog Los Angeles?
That's a good one. I'll have to think about it. They're pretty expensive dogs. So.
Your girlfriend's not going to enjoy me giving you ideas right now. But yeah, so we've got Paris and Bear. How old are they?
So Bear is 5. Paris, I think she's like 5 months.
Okay.
She's still a puppy.
And do they get along well with each other? Or they just what's that like having two pups at home?
So before I left for Paris, they were not getting along. Like Bear was like very mean to Paris, but when I was back, they're like best friends. They cuddle, they play together, they sleep together. It was pretty cool to watch.
Because you want to race.
Maybe, yeah.
Bear was like, all right, I want to race. We're good friends now. I like Paris. All right, we're gonna leave it here. Ovesh, thank you so much for coming on the show. It was a pleasure having you.